Hello everyone. Sorry for being a little late for 3 minutes. Exactly before stream, I checked speed of internet and it was really slow, and then a jump up. So hopefully, sorry for being a little late. Hopefully, sound and video is okay now. So once again, hello everyone. Thank you all for your attention, for participating in this stream. Today is 7th of April. Now it's 9:03 in the evening Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze, and this is traditional Sunday live stream. And as always, initially I will share with you several news that was reported by Russian media during the day, and after that, of course, I will check chat, and if I see any questions or any topics that I can share my opinion on, I will get engaged with the chat, and I will try my best to give you answer. So everything as always, by the way, I'm just explaining this for possible new members of our community that may watching live stream first time. So once again, thank you all for attention, and of course many thanks to all the members of our community who will join later on or who will watch this video in recording. So let's go through some news now, and of course breaking news for this afternoon and this evening is that at least 3 people were injured in Ukrainian drone attack on Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. Unfortunately, in last several days, we clearly can see pattern that Kiev regime forces are increasing strikes on Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. At this point, it seems like Kiev regime no longer fears that they're gonna be designated as terrorists because I guess everyone already knows that they are terrorists and they are conducting terrorist attacks, and at least in the Western media and among Western so-called elites, no one will criticize them, I guess, whatever they will do. And this is a pure example of nuclear terrorism. Let's go through this news here. So multiple Ukrainian explosive loaded drones targeted the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant on Sunday. Several locations across the facility were hit with at least 3 employees injured in the attacks. Russia's nuclear energy agency Rosatom said in a statement on Sunday, the atomic power station, Europe's largest one, came under Moscow's control in 2022. Early on in the Ukraine conflict, Rosatom formally took it over after Zaporozhye region was incorporated into Russia following a referendum in the autumn of that year. Kiev has repeatedly claimed that Moscow keeps heavy weaponry on the premises of their power plant. Russia has accused Ukraine of shelling the facility and risking a major nuclear incident. And today, staff of nuclear power plant shared the information on official page that radioactive foam in a station is in the norm. No, there was no breach of reactors, although according to some reports that I see, Kiev regime was targeting 6 nuclear power block in this station. And by the way, this is nuclear power plant. I mean, of course, all these blocks have protection in the place. Some security measures are taken, but we all remember what happened in Japan, for example, on Fukushima after devastating tsunami. Cooling system went down, and then chain reaction went in, and eventually huge nuclear catastrophe and devastation. And who can tell that there is not even slight chance that Kiev regime with this attacks on Zaporozhye power plant will not create a nuclear disaster. And unfortunately, all Moscow can do at this point is to inform the world community and take all possible measures to protect nuclear power station, bring some more radio electronic warfare systems, and do whatever it takes. But yet again, what you're gonna do against shell, for example? Okay, you can suppress drone, but what about shell that cannot be suppressed by radio electronic warfare system? And I'm quite sure it's only a matter of time and Kyiv regime will start shelling Zaporozhye nuclear power plant with the long-range artillery systems that they get from NATO member states. Just mark my words, by the way. There was such instances before, and it will repeat it. It will be repeated again, because Zelensky, his associates, they are terrorists, mass murderers, and should be prosecuted, by the way. But unfortunately, you know, they're still in power, and Western so-called elites are doing whatever it takes to keep this terrorist regime in place as long as possible. Also, I will share with you information about situation in Orenburg region, where in Orsk area, Orsk city, by the way, river Ural flooded area. Unfortunately, dam was breached as a result of increased pressure because of the flooding, and thousands of homes have been flooded in Orsk. This is Orsk, by the way, this area here, and I guess this river is Ural. It is Ural river, by the way, this one. And the central part of Orsk is underwater. Thousands of people have been evacuated, and unfortunately, forecast is not really optimistic. According to some reports that I see, water level will still rise at least next 24 hours. All the emergency services are in the place and are doing their best to protect community, to protect civilians. So city is basically right next to a border with the Kazakhstan, and this is Kazakhstan, of course. Also, let's continue with news. RIA Novosti is reporting that according to Russian partisans that are operating in Kharkov region, Russian armed forces during one of the strikes, and I guess partisans were providing coordinates for a strike. So Russian armed forces conducted strike in one of the areas of Kharkov, in airport area, and yet another Western-made air defense system was destroyed as a result of this strike. And partisans did not share with RIA Novosti precise information what type of Western air defense systems, but we can guess there are only several types of those systems have been delivered to Kyiv regime. One is Patriot, of course, one is NASAMS, and another one is Iris-T. So one of those systems have been destroyed, and later on, I mean, it is becoming clear that Russian armed forces quite successfully neutralized majority, at least majority of air defense systems of Kyiv regime that they had before special military operation and after special military operation, ones that they get from NATO member states. And that's why probably these high-ranking officials in Ukraine are basically openly demanding from NATO states more air defense systems to be transferred to Kyiv regime. RIA Novosti is also reporting that former Chancellor of Germany, Gerhard Schröder, made a statement during the interview with the Süddeutsche Zeitung. I'm butchering name of this newspaper, I guess, but and sorry for that. But during the interview with this newspaper, former Chancellor Gerhard Schröder stated that Putin, according to him, by the way, Putin will agree on the escalation if West will do more to conduct some peace talks. And he basically called his party in Germany, Social Democrat Party, to become more active with the calls towards peace negotiations, peace talks. He thinks Putin will agree on peace talks. Schroeder has some idea that this conflict can be frozen, although I disagree with him, but at least someone is calling for the talks, you know, at least someone is calling for peace talks, which is, I mean, I can only applaud to that. And it is interesting, by the way, it is interesting that yes, former Chancellor of Germany, but still, by the way, quite influential figure, I will guess, in Germany, and in this party, SDPG, or Social Democratic Party of Germany, has an understandable right position and calling his colleagues to pay more attention to promote ideas of peace talks, ceasefire negotiations, not further escalation with Russia. And by the way, Schroeder may have some insight because he is in quite good friendly relationships, I will say, with Russian President Putin. I believe they're maintaining their relationships until now, friendly relationships, and who knows, probably before making some statements, he had some talks, maybe with Russian president, and they have an exchange of opinions, and whatever the case, he's calling his German colleagues to pay more attention to peace talks. Lentaru is reporting that Russian military-industrial complex significantly increased production of Iskander-M tactical missiles. Iskander missiles definitely are proved themselves during the special military operation, like several other modern weapon systems that Russia introduced to the battlefield. And it's good to know that military-industrial complex is managing to increase production of these missiles also, these weapon systems also. At the same time, by the way, there is no shortages of washing machines in shops and fridges and TVs. So that's a quite achievement. I mean, don't tell this to Ursula von der Crazy, or she may have some heart attack or something. Of course, I've been ironic, by the way. All of you, I guess, remember when Ursula was saying that Russian military-industrial complex is taking some chips from washing machines to use it for missiles and stuff like that. I mean, she is a grown-up individual, isn't it? And how she could say anything like that? I mean, just it's I don't know, man. It's so stupid that, you know. And of course, she's also famous for this legendary phrase that Russian economy is in tatters. Tatters. Oh, Ursula, man, very interesting individual. Let's continue. Kommersant newspaper is reporting that there was an article, by the way, in Washington Post, according to which, if Donald Trump will be re-elected as a president of United States, he will basically end. He will try to end this conflict by pressuring Kiev regime to agree on peace talks and negotiations, even by losing Donbass and Crimea, by basically admitting that Donbass and Crimea is a part of Russia now. And well, I can understand Trump is coming from. Maybe he thinks that you know, if he will get intervened, he understands that Russia will not back down. It's not possible. But maybe he thinks that if he's elected as a president, then he can pressure Kiev. They will agree that Crimea and Donbass is part of Russia now, and conflict will de-escalate. But maybe Trump a little bit behind the real developments on the ground, because too much damage was done. By the way, trust is lost between the not just between Moscow and Kiev. I mean, trust is lost between Moscow and major Western capitals. That's much more important. And therefore, I don't think Russian leadership has any other option but to establish control, at least over the entire southern and eastern parts of Ukraine, from Kharkov region to Odessa region. Let me show you on the map. So this is Ukraine, by the way, and in best case scenario for Ukraine, for whatever is left from Ukraine, in best case scenario, Russian side will establish control over the Kharkov region, over the Dnipropetrovsk region, of course, fully establish control over the Zaporozhye region, Kherson region, and also Odessa region, by the way. That's at least. That's how it's gonna be. But in my personal opinion, after this conflict will end, Ukraine will be divided between NATO and Russia, and western regions of Ukraine will be controlled by NATO member states, rest of the Ukraine by Russia, and there will be no more Ukraine on political map. Although some may argue that Kiev and surrounding areas may remain as a quasi-state on the name of Ukraine on the map. It is possible. It is possible. We all remember recent speech of former Russian president and current deputy chairman of the Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, when during the forum of Knowledge Society, when during his speech there was map behind him, and on that map, vast majority of territories of former Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic was part of Russia. Western regions of Ukraine was part of Poland, Hungary, and Romania, and from Ukraine there was only Kiev and surrounding areas left. So therefore, after demonstration of that map during the speech of high-ranking Russian official, and Medvedev is the current deputy chairman of the Security Council, of course, chances that maybe Kiev and surrounding areas will remain as Ukraine little bit increased. But still, by the way, if Trump believes that, Kiev will recognize Crimea and Donbass as a part of Russia, and that will be it, no, it's not happening. And somewhat surprisingly, head of General Secretary of NATO, Jens Stoltenberg, made somewhat similar statement that Ukraine may have to compromise with Russia to achieve peace. So he spoke about how they're gonna continue to support Kiev regime and so on, which is not really interesting. But he's also saying at the same time, Stoltenberg signaled that it was up to Ukraine to choose when and under what condition to seek peace with Russia. At the end of the day, it has to be Ukraine that decides what kind of compromises they are willing to do, Stoltenberg said. So he's not calling, but he's basically admitting that there will be some compromises on part of Kiev regime. Ukraine may ultimately have to agree to some kind of compromises with Russia to end the conflict, Stoltenberg said. And we all know, I guess, what those compromises are. Capitulation. Unconditional capitulation. That's it. Then we will see the escalation. RT is reporting that Russia calls out US over plans to militarize space. US has been seeking to dismantle legally binding international security mechanisms and replace them with the vogue norms of the so-called rules-based world order. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said on Saturday the remarks were in response to statements from the outgoing US Assistant Secretary of the Defense for Space Policy, John Plumb, at the Defense Writers Group meeting on Friday. According to Zakharova, Plumb dismissed the Russian-Chinese initiatives on the prevention of an arms race in space as a political ploy, claiming that adherence to the deal would not be verifiable. The US is an ardent opponent of Russian initiatives to prevent an arms race in outer space. Strong opposition to the aforementioned Russian-Chinese draft treaty has long been an integral part of American foreign policy, Zakharova said in a Telegram post referring to 2008 draft agreement. Well, we all know, by the way, what is going on. Just recently, like about months ago, there was some hysteria in US media among some US politicians. They start talking about some devastating weapons that, or some devastating news that they have that that may influence US in immediate future. And eventually we learn that according to these liars among US intelligence service and US political officials and media, so-called media, they claim that Russia has some plans that to put some nuclear weapons into space. No, and they didn't provide nothing at all. No evidences. They just say it, and because they have huge machinery of propaganda, they push this narrative. And now, after they created narrative, they are conducting second step response to the fake news that they created. And this response is that US is planning, by the way, to put nukes into the space. That's what it is, really. That's what it is. And US will put nukes in the space, by the way. They will play some political games, but I'm quite sure it's only a matter of time. And they will put some nukes in space, and they will say, what, Chinese and Russians already have nukes in the space. Well, that will be a lie. But once US will put nukes in the space, of course, Russia will respond in the same manner, and they will be rushing nukes in the space also, and Chinese will do the same. Probably India will do the same, because India also has capabilities to put satellites into space, possibly with the nuclear warheads. So it's, I'm telling you, by the way, military-industrial complex of US, Western ruling class in general, are, probably most dangerous entity that humankind ever experienced. I'm telling you, man, they are danger for everybody. Everybody inside US, outside of US, they are crazy, man. Anyway, let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that Ansar Allah movement, or Houthi rebels as they also are known worldwide, made statements today that they targeted British, US and Israeli commercial vessels in the Red Sea, in Gulf of Aden, even in Indian Ocean, by the way, and Arabian Sea. At least 3 ships were targeted, according to Ansar Allah movement, and also simultaneously several US frigates, US warships. In this information, I did not see any claims that US warships were hit and damage was done, but Ansar Allah movement is claiming that the civilian transport ships, commercial ships, were hit. And by the way, as I said many times before, it's not even necessary to directly hit vessels because of their because the risks itself that ships may be targeted. That's enough for major shipping companies to divert their vessels from Red Sea, and that's what is happening. All major shipping companies already diverted their majority of their vessels from Red Sea. And a few weeks ago I reported that, for example, navigation through Suez Channel dropped up to 50%. At this point, maybe even more, which is of course big number, especially for Egypt, by the way. For Egypt, Suez Channel is one of their big sources of income, of course. RT is reporting that Latin American diplomatic crisis is intensifying, and Nicaragua has followed Mexico and cut off diplomatic relations with Ecuador after Ecuadorian security services basically stormed the Mexican embassy in Quito, capital of Ecuador, which is crazy move, by the way. I said straight away that it was crazy. They were looking for a former vice president of Ecuador, who was in embassy and who received from Mexico refugee status, I believe. And whatever the case, Ecuadorian government had no rights to invade Mexico's embassy, by the way. This is act of war. Mexico can easily interpret this move as an act of war, because that's what this really is, because Mexican embassy is Mexico's territory. You cannot send your police there like it's nothing. This is crazy, man. This is crazy, and unfortunately, well, situation is escalating even more, and now Nicaragua is also cutting ties with Ecuador. I guess worldwide everybody will condemn Ecuador's actions, because this is, this is not normal. This is not normal. You cannot target embassies, by the way. After all, Ecuador should know better, because it was in Ecuador's embassy in UK that Julian Assange was staying for years. And UK's secret services did not storm this embassy, and did not injure diplomats, and did not make some crazy moves in this regard. Exactly because it was an embassy, diplomatic mission. Even for crazy British leadership, that was too much. But currently Ecuador has even crazier leaders, I guess. I don't know, man. Very strange move on part of Ecuadorian government, especially, by the way, when you have they can negotiate with Mexico if they are sure that this individual, whoever they were pursuing, and he was arrested, by the way, that former vice president, as a result of this assault on Ecuadorian embassy. They could negotiate with Mexico and deploy some evidences of wrongdoing on part of this individual, and there were definitely some other ways to resolve situation with the former vice president George Glass, former vice president of Ecuador. But for whatever reason, they decide to go this crazy way and attack embassy. Crazy, though. Unbelievable. Interfax is reporting that Foreign Minister of Russian Federation, Sergei Lavrov, will visit China on 8th and 9th of April, and will have a meeting with his Chinese colleague Wang Yi. Interesting. Of course, during this visit they will discuss many topics: bilateral relationships, BRICS, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and many other issues, of course, including Ukraine, most likely. RIA Novosti is reporting that, among major Russian trade partners, there is no longer any Western country. Unfortunately, I will say, but that's what Western ruling elites did. They basically destroy good working relationships between Russia and a number of Western states. But it is what it is, quite unfortunate. And EU, by the way, before this sanction war that was waged, that is waged against Russia by Western ruling class, before that sanctions war, European Union was a major trade partner with Russia, and trade between the sides were reaching 300 or 500 billion, by the way, year-on-year terms. So EU was number one. And among EU member states, Germany was number one, I believe. And now Germany is not even in top 5. It is what it is, unfortunate. But, Russia is diversifying its economy. And in this world, there are plenty of countries, by the way, that can provide goods and services on no lesser level or quality than EU member states could, and they are happy to work with Russian businesses. They are happy to establish themselves on the Russian market and make billions and billions that used to go in to Western businesses. And I remind you, just recently there was some statistics information in media here in Russia that, and in the West also, I believe that as a result of this escalation between Russia and the West, Western companies lost more than $107 billion already. And I guess real number is much higher, most likely. And finally, by the way, Elon Musk, founder of Tesla, SpaceX, and some other companies, yet again spoke about future of the humanity and reiterated him that if humanity wants to survive, then it has to become on the first stage, multiplanetary civilization, and next stages, multi-star civilization. Sounds good, but to achieve this, by the way, I don't know. To achieve this, it's gonna take some new level of knowledge in physics and new materials, new technologies that will allow spacecrafts to not just travel with higher speeds, but also to protect astronauts well enough during the long flights, because you know, all that cosmic rays and rest of the stuff. But well, it's nice to see that Musk is in headlines, not because he's making some political statements, but because he is talking about topic that he used to be known before. And by the way, he may achieve during his lifetime and during our lifetime, he may manage to send the humans to the Mars. I mean, he's quite determined, seems like. So who knows? Who knows? This is it for now with this news update, and hopefully you will find this update interesting. And now let's go through some Malina, thank you very much for your donation on Boosty. Dear friends, before I continue with the questions Q&A, let me remind you that if you want to, you can support channel during the live stream. And of course, if you have a question or some commentary, I will read it during the stream. Links of donation alert and Boosty are in the description box under this video. And well, I checked donation alerts, and on Boosty there was a donation from Malina. Thank you very much for your donation. And let's go through some comments now and questions. And dear friends, if you have a question, please put capital Q before question, so I can see it a little easier. So questions. Once again, thank you all dear friends for participating in this live stream. George Williams is commenting, Levan, it's a great update. Do you think they want to blow up power plant? I mean, I don't excuse me, I don't know, man. How crazy are they? How crazy are they? Because why are they shelling nuclear power plant? What is the purpose? Maybe they want to damage. They know that domes over there, these nuclear blocks, are quite strong. They should withstand even plane crash. So they know perfectly well that with these smaller drones, they're not gonna breach dome of the nuclear block itself. But maybe they are looking for some secondary systems in the power station to damage those systems, and then create some chain reaction that will eventually create some nuclear crisis. For example, cooling system. You need cooling system to work constantly. There is no way around it. And if Kiev regime will destroy power supply to station, if they will destroy if diesel generators that are in the station, in case that power station is cut from outside then we have a big issue on our hands, because it will take only some time, and without constant cooling, of course, these fueling rods will start melt under constantly increasing pressure. So I think they know perfectly well that they cannot destroy domes over their nuclear reactors, but I think most likely they are trying to damage some systems that are providing security for those reactors. First of all, cooling system. That's why they are, testing now and increasing strikes on nuclear power station. Otherwise, I mean, what is the point to shell nuclear power station? Question, I can see question. Jerry Kogan is asking, can Russia capture Odessa militarily without causing a huge number of civilian casualties? What is the proposition of pro-Russian versus pro-Ukrainian Odessa? Odessa is pro-Russian, by the way. I will say 90% pro-Russian, 95% nowadays. Of course, people are scared because there are neo-Nazi units there, and they are prohibiting people. They are not allowing people to even speak Russian. And there were so many videos, isn't it, from the streets of Odessa when they are attacking civilians just because they are talking Russian. And no one has like two lives, isn't it? No one wants to end up being killed by these neo-Nazi scums. And therefore, people are afraid. They will say nothing right now, but vast majority are Russians. They are Russians, by the way. Odessa is a Russian Jewish city. That's how it's known, and always was known as a Russian Jewish city. And when it comes to establishing control over the Odessa, I think Moscow will go with different tactics. I think Russian side will use current line of contact as much as possible to demilitarize Kyiv regime forces, and with some changes, of course, because we see Avdiivka recently. We will see, I guess, similar story in Chisov Yar, in Seversk direction. But in general, in my opinion, Russian side will try to use current line of contact as much as possible to demilitarize Kyiv regime forces, and then force Kyiv regime to capitulate on Russian terms. And after Kyiv regime's capitulation, Russian forces will enter Odessa without any significant fight. There may be some groups that will try to fight, but even if Kyiv regime will sign capitulation, they may just continue to do their dirty crimes, or at least try. But in general, I think that's how it's gonna go down. That at some point Kyiv regime will be forced to capitulate, and in these major cities, in Odessa, in Zaporozhye, in Dnipropetrovsk, in Kharkov itself, most likely, probably, by the way, Russian forces will go without some huge battles. That's my understanding. That makes sense for me to act this way. So, and therefore, damage will be minimal, of course, because yet again, even if Kyiv regime will capitulate, and it will at some point, of course, some neo-Nazi units, they're not gonna take in account what Kyiv regime is agree or disagree on. They will act as they are acting right now. They are neo-Nazis, by the way. After Second World War end, Ukrainian neo-Nazis were still terrorizing people in the Western Ukraine, in the Belarus, by the way, even in Poland, for up to middle of 50s. Up to middle of 55, 56, 57, I guess. Even until then, there was some Ukrainian neo-Nazi formations that were terrorizing people, and they were hiding in a forestry. And it's, I mean, you can imagine how difficult it is to check these huge masses of forestry to find the terrorists that were hiding there. But eventually Soviet forces did whatever was necessary to neutralize them. But this fight was going on up to, you know, I don't want to be mistaken, but definitely somewhere in between 50s and 60s, like 55, 56, 57, 1957. So therefore I believe neo-Nazis will try to fight after Kiev's capitulation, but of course Russian side will take care of them, you know, relatively quickly. Because, by the way, they are loud ones, but they are not majority, and they are not popular, and there never was popular in Ukraine, especially in the southern and the central and the northern or eastern Ukraines. In western Ukraine, that's a whole different story, and that's why I'm saying, by the way, Poland gonna have a hard time when Polish forces will, NATO forces, and including Polish forces, will try to establish control over the former Polish territories. They're gonna have a hard time. Hungary will have it a little bit easier because Transcarpathia was never that stronghold of the neo-Nazis, and Romania may also had it a little easier compared to Poland, because Poland, by the way, I mean, just take a look at the map. I already closed it. Okay. Some 70-80% of Western Ukraine used to be part of Poland. And those territories, Lvov and the rest of the cities there, they are strongholds of Ukrainian neo-Nazis. So question, it is the true that Pakistan is sending weapons to Ukraine? I did see some photos on Telegram with artillery shells. And according to some claims, those shells were produced by Pakistan. There are rumors that Pakistan sent to Kiev regime tanks that they previously buy from Ukraine. And some of it probably is true. But Pakistan is denying that they are selling any weapons to Kiev regime. And it is quite obvious that Islamabad don't really want to escalate with Moscow. They may just be under such a pressure from US that they are forced basically to transfer some weapons to US or some other third party, and then those weapons go to Ukraine. So these rumors must have some basement, but when it comes to relationships between Islamabad and Moscow, I think Islamabad is not in a rush to escalate with Moscow. They are just in the situation when maybe they are unable to refuse demands from Washington. So hard to tell, but rumors definitely are circulating that Pakistani weapons, one way or another, directly or through third parties, are delivered to Kiev regime. Also, Aida Toy El Taidara, sorry, I find it difficult to pronounce your nickname. Question is that what about the bill against the foreign agents in Georgia, supposed to be passed by the Georgian Dream on the 8th of April? Will the West open another front against Russia in the Caucasus? Oh, that's a great question. I spoke about this topic in previous updates. A ruling party in Georgia, Georgian Dream, is initiating second time. Oh, dear friends, I have a donation on donation alerts. Hi Levan, just wanted to say that you are doing great and that some of us are really thankful for your daily videos. Warm hug from Sweden. Thank you very much. There is no name to thank you directly. Very grateful for your donation. Thank you. Well, in regard to topic of Georgia, I spoke about this. Few days ago, and on my previous updates. And the question is absolutely crucial, very important, because I'm 100% sure. I'm 100% sure that Western ruling class Washington will activate their assets in Georgia and will try to destabilize Georgia, as it was when ruling party tried to vote for this bill about foreign agents previously in 2023. There was disturbances in Georgia, I mean, serious disturbances. And I'm afraid something like that will take place now also. Eventually what Washington and US Secret Services want is that they want to destabilize Georgia. They want to put in power this so-called opposition that is controlled by Washington. I mean, for over a decade now, by the way. They were created by Washington and US Secret Services. And unfortunately, there is high risk that if Washington will succeed by destabilizing Georgia, conducting regime change with the use of their assets in Georgia, then of course this former Soviet Republic most likely will be used against Russia as a second front, which will be devastating for Georgia, by the way. It will harm Russia not as much as some may hope in the Washington, but it will devastate Georgia, by the way, and not just because Georgia is in no position to open second front against Russia, but because internal instability may create some difficult situation in, let's say, Samtskhe-Javakheti region of Georgia. And if you are familiar with geography of Georgia, you will know that in Samtskhe-Javakheti, majority of society, majority are ethnic Armenians. And if you take in account relationships between current leadership of Armenia, Pashinyan's government, and the Western Secret Services, then you may see some chain there, some chain reaction that may happen. West may destabilize, first use Georgia against Russia, then destabilize Samtskhe-Javakheti and let Armenia take over Samtskhe-Javakheti, and then through Samtskhe-Javakheti reach even Black Sea. Because from Samtskhe-Javakheti, by the way, there is ways to go to Adjaria, by the way. Black Sea coast of Adjarian Autonomous Republic. So this is, by the way, Samtskhe-Javakheti area here, and this is Adjaria here. And vast majority of people, I mean residents in Samtskhe-Javakheti, as I said, are Armenians. And if Washington wants to, I mean, what Western Secret Services may do is that they may stimulate Pashinyan's government to support separatist movement, for example, in Samtskhe-Javakheti. Then if conflict will erupt there, Armenia may try to go towards Black Sea coast from Samtskhe-Javakheti. I was writing about this, by the way, since 2009, about such a high risk that this might happen. That at some point Armenia might be used by West against Georgia. And unfortunately, we are now in a situation when Armenia is run by Western assets. Before Pashinyan's government, in Armenia, in ruling positions were Karabakh clan. And those groups were suppressing any separatist movements in Samtskhe-Javakheti, because they did not want any confrontation with Georgia. They wanted to maintain friendly, good relationship with Georgia, as it should be. But these ones, by the way, Pashinyan's government is very different. They don't care about friendly relationships with anybody. And after all, they are acting on the orders of Washington. And well, my English is not as good as I would like it to be, and it's hard for me to explain in details what I mean. But there is a high risk that if Washington will succeed by destabilizing Georgia, and with regime change and so on, and then if Washington will use it against Russia as a kind of second front, same time, most likely, Washington will, and Paris, by the way, French leadership also, will probably stimulate Armenia to use this situation and establish control over the Samtskhe-Javakheti, and from Samtskhe-Javakheti move towards some parts of Adjaria, by the way, not entire Adjaria, some parts of Adjaria, to create some land bridge, land corridor from Black Sea towards Armenia. And this is a big risk, by the way, if somehow Georgian government is listening, or somebody in Georgian government. I recommend them to read whatever I was writing some 10 years ago, and maybe they will be in a position to do something about it, to protect Georgia, by the way, because I'm afraid situation in Southern Caucasus region may deteriorate very fast, very significantly, and Georgia may be the target, and most likely will be the target of the West and the Western assets, which is Pashinyan's government, of course. So I hope I did answer to your question. Point, I see destabilization of Georgia, in destabilization of Georgia by Western ruling elites, by Western assets in Georgia, not necessarily threat for Russia, because let's be real, Georgia is never going to be any threat for Russia, but they might destabilize Georgia to then to create some issues, some difficulties for Russia, and simultaneously, by the way, to give some incentive to Pashinyan and his governments to conduct provocations and try to get to the Black Sea, to create some land bridge towards it. It might sound as a fantastic, by the way, but some 10-15 years ago, when I was writing about these topics, many people find it also fantastic to believe that Azerbaijan will manage to establish control not just over the 7 regions that were occupied by Armenia outside of Karabakh, but over the Karabakh also, most likely. But now it's factual, it's history. And I was saying, by the way, in my articles, that Armenia will not even try to defend Nagorno-Karabakh because they may have some promises from some places, and we have Washington runs Armenia's government now, that if they will give up territories that they are occupying in Azerbaijan, they may receive opportunity from the West to get to the Black Sea. And I'm afraid this process is still active, and it is highly likely that if Georgia is destabilized, this republic gonna end up in very big problems. I mean, in very difficult situation. Let's hope it will not happen, but you know. So that's my reading of the situation anyway. So I hope I did answer to your question. Yet again, my English is not as good as I would like it to be, because I cannot explain in detail how I will answer to your question in Georgian, for example, or in Russian. But hopefully I explain my position well enough. So let's go through some questions. Oh, your English is fine. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I would like my English to be much better, but unfortunately it is what it is. What can I do? Let's go through some more questions. Sorry, dear friends, if I miss any. So I can see a question here. George Williams is asking, do you think Poland have their own agenda and will take land from Ukraine? Of course, 100%, by the way. For Polish elites, this is unique opportunity to regain control over their former Polish territories, which is 70-80% of Western Ukraine today. So I have no doubts that Polish leadership will definitely try to establish control over this area, although it's not gonna be easy for many reasons. One of them being, well, as I already said, Western Ukraine is a main stronghold of Ukrainian neo-Nazi ideology, not just neo-Nazis, but ideology itself. And also, by the way, just for a thought experiment, if we imagine that Poland already established control over the Ukraine, already been divided between Russia and NATO member states, Poland established control over the former Polish territories in Western Ukraine, and what's happening after that? Germany, by the way, because Soviet Union took some territories from Poland, Moscow basically influenced border between Germany and Poland, and Germany was forced to give some territories to Poland. And I think if Poland will regain control of the former Polish territories, maybe Berlin will say, you know what, you took these territories from us as a compensation, so you get your land back, so give back our land then. That will be only right. And maybe there will be some issues between Poland and Germany on this topic. Especially because Poland now, by the way, I guess in much more stronger position than Germany. So that's also an issue that I guess some people in Germany already are thinking. But, well, biggest problem for Germany is that they have weak government, weak leadership. I mean, Baerbock and the Scholz and the rest of them, I mean, what they're gonna demand from anybody? I mean, you know, but if tomorrow, day after, Germany will have some other leadership, stronger leadership, and oriented on Germany and Germany's interests, then that's gonna be a whole different story, and they may definitely have some hard talk with Warsaw. That's for sure. Also, let's go through questions. Oh, let me check. So, periodically I will check, by the way, Boosty and donation alerts to make sure that I don't miss any question or commentary. So let's continue. And also I mean, dear friends, sorry if I missed. I can see some comments. Question. Nidesh Kumar is asking, does Russia takes all coastal area of Ukraine and connect with Transnistria, leaving Ukraine landlocked? Yes, yes. I have no doubts about it. If Ukraine will remain on a political map as a state, only as a landlocked state, with borders, with Kiev as a capital and some territories around it. I will open now this map, by the way, and I will share with you. I will show you. Just a sec. That's what am I talking about. Where is the map? So let's do like that. And by the way, where is the map? That's the map. This map was presented, for example, when Dmitry Medvedev relatively recently, a few weeks ago, was giving his speech during the marathon of Knowledge Society. And behind him, while he was speaking, this map was presented. And on this map, by the way, Ukraine is, you can clearly see, landlocked area, Kiev being capital, and just Kiev region. That's all that is left from Ukraine. Rest of it is divided between Russia and Russia on this map, by the way. And this is at least vision of the Medvedev. I can guess, by the way. I did not speak with him, of course. But because this map was presented during his speech, I guess this is at least his vision of how Ukraine will be divided after this conflict will end. And as you can see, vast majorities from Chernihiv, Sumy, Kharkov regions up to Odessa region here is a part of Russia. Romania gets some parts of the western Ukraine, Cherkasy area, Vinnytsia, Chervantsy, sorry, and Vinnytsia areas. Hungary gets Transnistria area, and rest of it, by the way, rest of the western Ukraine, with some major cities, by the way, Lvov, Ternopil, Ivano-Frankovsk, Khmelnytsk, Lutsk, Zhytomyr. On this map is as a part of Poland. Those territories used to be part of Poland before Second World War, I believe. And by the way, also this area here, right next to Moldova, this part, which is now Odessa region, also used to be part of Romania, as Moldova itself also. Many people may don't know that Moldova was created basically after Second World War. It was part of Romania. But after Second World War, Romania lost quite huge territories. Some become part of Ukraine, and some become as Moldova, independent, not independent, but Soviet Republic, by the way, Soviet Socialist Republic of Moldavia. And now there are talks in Moldova, in Romania, that Moldova should reunited with Romania. Not all people are happy in Moldova about this, and if process will go this way, and I believe, by the way, some 500,000 to 600,000 people in Moldova have Romanian passports, and there is 100 to 150, maybe even more, thousand ethnic Romanians in Moldova, and Moldovans themselves, not all of them consider to be Romanian or part of Romanian world. Vast majority of Moldovans are considering themselves to be Moldovans and part of Russian world. And of course there is Gagauzia, by the way, Gagauzia Autonomous Republic in this area here. And we already hear 2 days ago, and I reported about it during the previous updates, that head of Gagauzia made a statement that if Moldova will move towards unification with Romania, then Gagauzia will declare independence. So it is quite possible that there will be some talks between Moscow and Bucharest, and maybe Moldova will be divided eventually between Russia and Romania. And the areas where pro-Romanian areas where are living pro-Romanian citizens of Moldova will go to Romania, and areas where majority is pro-Russian probably will eventually join Russian or maintain somewhat statehood, being in close relationships with Russia. But it is highly likely, in my opinion, that Moldova probably would not survive next decade or two as a state. So this is map, by the way, that I was talking about. So I mean, if you had any questions, that I mean, how Moscow sees full-scale disintegration of Ukraine. Maybe this is a vision of Dmitry Medvedev, who is a former president of Russia and current deputy chairman of Russian Federation. Although, by the way, if you ask me, I cannot tell you any reason, even single reason, why would Moscow or why should Moscow ever agree that Kiev and surrounding areas to maintain statehood as Ukraine on political map. I don't see any reason why Moscow should ever agree on that, but of course, no one gonna ask me. But I think it's dangerous. I mean, Western ruling elites will try always to use whatever will be left as a state Ukraine against Russia. So it's dangerous. And after all, Kiev is a Russian city. It's a Russian city, by the way. It's Russian city. There is no Russian history without Kiev, and there is no Kiev's history without Russia. It's a Russian city. That's how it is. But anyway, by the way, we are ordinary people. We are ordinary people, and we can only exchange opinions, and that's it, really. So let's see how will things develop, and well, let's continue with the questions, isn't it? How long is this update? It's a little more than an hour now. A little more than an hour, and oh, Jerry, thank you very much for your donation on Boosty. I see your message. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So sorry, dear friends, I'm trying to operate with several programs now. Sorry for some misconvenience, and let's continue with the questions. Maybe there. Hopefully, you will find this update interesting. It's a little chaotic, maybe, but so question. Cat is commenting, I cannot imagine citizens of Romania want to pay for Moldova improvements and increased pensions. Well, it's I mean, I don't think elites of Romania will ask ordinary citizens what they think about. It's more political issue. It's more about ambitions and history. And if Polish elites will have an opportunity to regain control, at least over some territories that Romania lost after Second World War, I think they will take that opportunity. And when it comes to Hungary, by the way, for example, Hungary has very close ties with the ethnic Hungarians that are compactly living in Transcarpathia region, and there. I might be mistaken, but at least 500,000 ethnic Hungarians that are living still in Transcarpathia. Although, by the way, for a very long time, after First World War, this region, Transcarpathia, used to be part of Czechoslovakia. And after Second World War, this part was taken from Czechoslovakia and given to Kiev regime. It's quite complex stuff, isn't it? This history and how territories were move around between the different countries. So why people think is Zelensky who decides he in prison himself, they can kill him if he not play that role. Hans Major is commenting, well, Zelensky can be seen as a hostage of a situation that he basically voluntarily put himself. No one forced him, I guess, to become president of Ukraine, to play this role. He chose it, and he should face consequences now. And I will agree with you that Zelensky is not deciding nothing in general terms. He, of course, has some authority in some local topics in Ukraine, but when it comes to some major decision-making process, of course, it's all Washington and London, and Zelensky will have no say at all. In this regard, I absolutely agree with you. Of course, that's the case. Green 44 is asking, when will muddy season in Ukraine end? Well, that's depends on weather, of course. Probably, if weather is nice and warm, maybe towards end of May. Maybe. Although this is not, I mean, who knows? But in best case scenario, ground will become strong enough for heavy military equipment, for example, no earlier than middle or late May. Maybe even June, by the way. Even during the June, ground will be too soft. It all depends how much rain will be. And Packet is commenting, Moldova cannot join anything until Transnistria is resolved. Yes, once Russia will establish control over the Odessa region, Russia will border Transnistria. Transnistria will be saved. And as I said, if current government of leadership of Moldova, Sandu and her cabinet will continue provocative policies, then it is highly likely that Gagauzia will declare independence. Maybe Gagauzia and Transnistria will be joined with some other regions of Moldova that will refuse to obey orders from Chisinau, capital of Moldova. And well, as I said, I see, if you ask me, I will say that chances that Moldova as a state will survive next let's say 2 decades is next to none. I don't see how Moldova as a state can survive. You know, especially when Moldova is a part of this geopolitical struggle between major players on this geopolitical map. Question: Poland is a NATO country. Surely, if it occupies Western Ukraine, NATO will have moved closer to Russia again. Yes, but yes, that's of course not. That's true. That's factual. If Ukraine will be divided, as I mentioned, Western Ukraine will become under control of NATO. Rest of the Ukraine under control of Russia. Of course, technically speaking, NATO will get closer to Russia. But from 2 worst possible scenarios, you are choosing less damaging one. And in this regard, of course, it's better, more safer for Russia to control Ukraine, entire Ukraine without Western regions, than didn't control nothing. So Russia will receive some operational space, let's say buffer zone between Russia and NATO. And it is very important, by the way, because if you take a look at the map, these steppe areas of Ukraine, are weak points. Used to be weak points. Russia definitely needs to establish control over these territories, speaking in defensive terms, in terms of military strategies. Because if you remember, when Germany attacked Soviet Union, when Germany attacked Soviet Union, there was several main directions, isn't it? And one of the main directions that was hard to defend was southern direction. And if not Stalingrad, by the way, then for whatever reason, German leadership during the Great Patriotic War made decision to divert main forces towards Stalingrad, Volgograd nowadays, but at the time it was Stalingrad, of course, and very little forces were left to continue offensives towards Caucasus Mountains. And eventually Germans reached Caucasus Mountains, but it was too late. German forces ran out of steam, ran out of potential for that time, and they reached North Ossetia, Alania, and they were unable to pass North Ossetia. They were stopped in North Ossetia. But when it comes to Stalingrad, by the way, also southern Russia, of course, I mean, we all know what happened in Stalingrad. They were decimated there. It was bloodiest battle probably for entire Second World War. So it is highly important. It is highly important to have this buffer zone, which is the steppe area of Ukraine, because you can imagine in case of invasion how stretched logistics gonna be in these huge areas. But if you take borders of Ukraine, Soviet Socialist Republic, from there, by the way, everything is next door. Everything. And that's why Russia was warning Western ruling class that it is too dangerous for us, too dangerous for us. We will have to react. You cannot move your military infrastructure closer, because we would not take it lightly. We will react on it. Exactly because of history, by the way. Exactly because of the history and risks that presence of NATO bases in Ukraine will present to Russia. And eventually Russia reacted. And even was provoked, by the way. If Washington did not intervene in 2014 and did not put in power in Ukraine these neo-Nazi criminals, I guess Ukraine will be much better off, by the way, than now. And Moscow and Kiev will still continue have some issues in some topics and cooperation in some others, but Ukraine, society of Ukraine, will be in unbelievably greater position. But unfortunately, Washington intervened. There was military coup there, and the rest of it is history. Armed coup in 2014, and rest is history. And by the way, sorry if I miss question. Nidish Kumar is asking, they place nukes in space. How will they safeguard them from celestial objects impacts? Why most of their Western countries have leaders from acting background and don't get it? Well, space is huge, by the way. There is tens of thousands of pieces of debris in space, but they are different orbits. So it is quite easy to put satellites in safe orbit, and it will be very low probability that these satellites will be hit by anything. But that's a whole different story. Why should the nukes be in space? That's a major question, and I don't know, by the way. Maybe because Western ruling class, they know they are losing. They know they are losing dominance over the world. They know global south is emerging power, and they cannot stop it. Only way they can stop increase influence of the global south, China, India, entire region, by the way, is if Western ruling elites will create global war, global nuclear war, in which highly unlikely that they will survive themselves. And therefore, to maintain some bargaining positions, maybe in the future, probably they come up with the idea to put some nukes in the space. because I don't see any other reason why would Washington want to put nukes in the space. Why? But they are losing hypersonic race in hypersonic warfare system. They are losing it to Russia. They are losing it to China. They will catch up after some time, but well, if they will put weapons, nukes in the space, then gravity do the job. They don't really need that much technology. Gravity will do everything. All they need is to point out some areas on the planet where you want to drop this whatever glider it will be put in space with nuclear warhead, and that's it. The rest of it is gravity. Maybe this is an easy way for US to go. I don't know. I really don't know, man. But and they are blaming Russia. I mean, to justify themselves, they come up with this crazy idea that Russia is planning to put some nukes in space, and therefore we have to respond. And then now US leadership will try to imitate that they want some negotiations about this topic, and then eventually they will put nukes anyway in space. I have no doubts about it. And who's gonna negotiate with Washington, by the way, anyway? At this point, how anybody can trust anything that Washington says or signs? I mean, it's not possible. It's Washington lost its reputation, absolutely, and no one can trust them ever, I guess. And same can be said about Western capitals. I mean, how can imagine that you are president of any country, let's say Indonesia, and you are watching how Western ruling elites are behaving when they don't give a damn about agreements that they had previously, when they openly are saying, for example, that Minsk I and Minsk II agreements that Western states signed was for them was meaningless because they were using these agreements to basically take some time to arm Kiev regime more and to basically lie to Russia. And this has been said openly by Western leaders. And after that, when you are leader of, for example, Indonesia, and you are watching this stuff, and many other instances when deals have been broken by Western ruling elites, how are you going to trust them ever? I mean, can you? And can you imagine if you are leader of India or China or Russia, how you can ever even think about trusting them? You cannot. You just cannot. That's it. And this is very unfortunate, by the way, because superpowers should have some means of communication, and otherwise some human error may trigger some unbelievable devastation for our world, isn't it? It's extremely dangerous, but on the other hand, I mean, what you gonna do, man? You Western world, collective West has leaders that it has. It's just, it is what it is. Jerry Kogan is commenting, can you see second message sent to you on Boosty? Just a sec. Oh, I can see. So I've finally managed to register on Boosty. Levan, you should consider uploading your videos to odyssey.com if you can, because people can donate on Odyssey. Jerry Kogan. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Jerry. I was thinking about Odyssey, and I need to check what kind of platform is used on Odyssey to withdraw funds. If it's if Odyssey allows PayPal to be used, then I will start uploading on Odyssey. Also, I'm gonna check it tomorrow. Thank you very much for recommendation, Jerry. I will check right after the stream. I have a page on Odyssey, I believe. I created long time ago, but I never uploaded anything there. if I'm not mistaken. So I'm gonna check it, and if because unfortunately there are some platforms that are using this pay system that is operating in US, in Western Europe, but it's not operating in Georgia, for example. If it was operating in Georgia, I will ask my relatives and they will help me with this. Like Magda, our administrator during the live streams, you all know, many of you probably noticed Magda Gelenidze. She is helping me with PayPal, for example, from Georgia. And I'm very grateful to her for this. And if Odyssey has allows you to use PayPal or Pioneer, for example, to withdraw the funds, then I will definitely start uploading on Odyssey. It's a great recommendation. Thank you. So let me check here. And dear friends, we are already 1.5 hours in online. Hopefully you will find this video interesting, and members of our community that will watch later on. And if I don't see any questions, I will end this live stream, if I may. So, dear friends, if I may, then I will end this live stream right now. We had quite a good exchange of opinions, isn't it? So, very grateful to you all for your attention. I will end update right now, and many thanks to all the members of our community who will watch this video in recording. Have a great day. Have a great day, and I see you tomorrow. Bye for now.